Welcome back. Children are precious and should be loved and protected, but unfortunately, many of them aren't, and they're let down by the society that is supposed to be keeping them safe.
Well, this Children's Protection Week, a teachers' organisation, Naptosa, says tangible measures and not just platitudes are required. For more on this, we're joined now by the Executive Director of Naptosa, Basil Manuel. Basil, always a pleasure speaking to you. A very good morning. I mean, when you're talking here about tangible measures, it makes me even think about, just to reflect very simply, how much teenage pregnancy we're facing in the country and the crisis thereof when we're talking about 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds who are giving birth, and also not even removing those that have not given birth but chosen to terminate their pregnancy. We're sitting with a situation where children are giving birth to children, and one wonders, where does this come from? Does it come from the adults who are raping the children and therefore failing at keeping the very same children safe? And I mean, if they're children, that means that they're in school. So clearly when we're saying that we need to be able to stop with the talk shop and actually do something about it, it starts even at how is it that even at school level there needs to be tangible intervention.
Good morning, Faith. Yes, for Naptosa, we see it as a two-pronged problem. The one is the many things that we all identify that are happening. Pregnancies, gender-based violence committed against children, the general neglect and things like that. But the second problem is the inaction. We pay lip service to what must be done, etc. But as an organization, we are seeing very little that is tangible evidence that shows that we are serious about doing something. And hence we've called out various agencies. We are asking the Department of Justice, where are the prosecutions? Where are the many people that should be held up to say, these are the people that we have arrested and successfully prosecuted? We are saying to the Department of Education, we are paying lip service to this. What are we doing to improve the lot of children, even in our schools? We need child psychologists. We need people to guide children to identify that there is an ongoing problem and not identify it when it's too late. And there are many, many other organizations that should be doing more. But we now have banners flying around, everybody saying nice things about what must be done, but the crisis lies in not doing anything. Hence our highlighting the concern of inaction as an additional concern to the fact that there are so many crimes being committed against children.
Basil, this week is just, for the purposes of acknowledging that the week exists, Child Protection Week. We are wearing our green ribbons, and we're saying that this is what we should be doing. As you and Faith have said, there's a lot of paying of lip service that is happening. I mean, what is the point of having a week like this and honoring a week like this if we are still not highlighting the positives, highlighting the work that has been done, highlighting the progress that we are making in the protection of children, and instead we are bashing certain organizations, we are bashing government for not doing enough to protect our children? What's the purpose? What's the point of having this week?
Well, let's look at it in two ways again. One is we believe that this should be a celebration of how much we have done. And let's count what we have done from last year to this year and how we've improved a lot. But if we haven't done that, it serves another purpose to say, let's highlight our very own inaction. And Naptosa has included even teachers in this group saying, even people who know and do nothing are equally guilty, because teachers are often the first people to come to know about misdeeds against children. And we are calling on membership. We are calling on our own people to say, stand up and do the right thing. Don't ignore all the signs. So whilst we don't just want platitudes, we are also saying every one of us must realize that child protection is everyone's business. We've got to do it. If we don't start doing it, who will? And then, of course, we've got to ensure that the schools become a safe environment. We can't have crimes against children being committed in schools, where it is also happening. There are miscreants amongst us, and we've got to weed them out, because this can't continue. Where do we stand 5 years from now if this crisis is becoming bigger and bigger? And we must stop blaming the recent events of COVID. Yes, of course, it exacerbated things, but it also highlighted what we haven't done. So we are saying, let's use the week. Let's highlight what must be done, but let us also take stock of ourselves, where we must say, what have I done? How am I going to improve? And next year, can I be called to account?
Yeah, Basil, it also remains very pertinent that parents take some element of accountability. There was a time where, when we were young, you can say it was 1652 or whatever, but there was a time when we were young where a child was not just your child. A child was the community, the village's child. So if a child was seen engaging in wrongdoing or seen being, in a situation that could land them into trouble, parents would intervene. There wasn't a situation where you would just turn the other side and hope that the problem will go away. Do we still have the same likened society? Because somewhere, somehow, as much as we can look for intervention on behalf of the Department of Basic Education, on behalf of children, I have to question, where do the parents actually sit here in being able to take at least some accountability and responsibility for the crisis that we're seeing when it comes to the lack of protection that happens to children?
Faith, absolutely. Our parents haven't played the role they should. And I'm talking about a large number of parents. Number one, parents themselves are sometimes the guilty parties. We've seen stories of parents even selling their children to get their hands on drugs and the like. But more than that, they are not taking responsibility even when schools reach out to them. In fact, it then becomes a tussle, a fight between the schools and the parents, whereas parents don't want to know that their children are in danger. They see this as blaming them, but they have to stand up and take responsibility. But communities, adults, have to do what you are saying has always been the hallmark of being an adult, correcting children that do wrong, not turning away from them. And it's not true that we do that anymore. We just don't. People have become insular, looking after themselves and not caring about the others. And if we don't reinstill those values that we've held dear, what then becomes to the values of society as a whole? So as Naptosa, we are saying, people, each one of us has a responsibility. We have a role to play in the place we are in, whether we're parents, whether we're teachers, whether we are social workers or police or administrators. We've got to do what we know we should do to protect our children. Let's stop waiting for the next person to do it. Parents, stand up. This is your children's only childhood. Let's not help destroy it.
That is very true, Basil, and thank you so much for joining us here on the South African Morning. That is the Executive Director of Naptosa. This is a conversation that needs to keep happening every single day. We had Dr. Shahida Omar last week, who said it can't be the 29th of May to the 4th of June that we speak about the protection of children. It needs to be the 1st of January to the 31st of December. It needs to be all round the year. It shouldn't be Child Protection Week. It should just be Child Protection, period.